Picture this. You walk into your house from the backyard with a plate of ribs so tender they're falling off the bone. So juicy that every bite makes your mouth water. Your family takes one look and starts planning the next cookout. Sound too good to be true? It's not. Today, I'm going to share my exact method for making ribs that are way better than anything that you can order at a restaurant. Trust me, once you learn how to barbecue ribs this way, you'll never go back to your old approach. And the best part, you don't need expensive equipment or years of experience. You can pull this off with a basic kettle grill, a charcoal smoker, or your kitchen oven because the principles are the same. Through countless family gatherings and neighborhood block parties, I perfected the process and learned exactly what not to do. Today, I'm giving you everything I wish someone had told me earlier. So let's get started. Let's be honest, most of us have been there. You spend your Saturday afternoon cooking ribs, following some recipe that you found online, and they come out okay, a little tough, a little dry, or maybe they taste like cardboard with sauce on top. The worst part, you know they could be better. You tasted incredible ribs at restaurants or that one friend's house, and you leave thinking, why can't I make ribs like that? Here's what I discovered. It's not about having the perfect grill or the secret sauce recipe. The difference between mediocre ribs and great ribs comes down to three things. First, choosing the right cut and prepping it properly. Most people grab whatever's on sale and skip the prep work entirely. Second, temperature control and timing. Too many backyard cooks rush the process or cook too hot because they're hungry. Third, moisture. Dry ribs are often a result of not knowing how to keep them juicy while they cook. Once you nail these three things, everything else falls right into place. Now, the solution is my proven method, and here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to barbecue ribs using what I call the 3-2-1 plus method. It's foolproof. It's flexible, and it works whether you're cooking for 2 people or 20. We'll start by selecting ribs that are practically guaranteed to turn out amazing. I'll show you exactly what to look for and what to avoid at the grocery store. Then I'll walk you through my prep that takes less than 10 minutes, but it makes the difference between good ribs and great ribs. Next comes the actual cooking method, and I'll show you the process on my charcoal smoker. I'll also show you an adapter for a gas grill, a charcoal kettle, or even your oven if the weather isn't cooperating with you. Finally, I'll cover the finishing touches for your ribs. And the best part, once you understand these principles, you can customize everything to your own preferences. By the way, if you're new to backyard barbecue, want a little extra help with cooking times and temperatures, I got you covered. I have this free guide that covers everything from meats to veggies, and it's perfect for getting started. All you have to do is drop a 100 down in the comments below, and I'll send it your way. All right, let's start with choosing your ribs. Walk into any grocery store meat section, and you'll see baby back ribs and spare ribs. And here's the deal. Both can be absolutely delicious when cooked right, but they're different animals. Baby back ribs come from higher up on the pig, right near the spine. They're smaller, more tender, and cook faster. Usually about an hour less than spare ribs. They've got that nice curved shape and tend to be more expensive, but there's less waste. Spare ribs are cut from the belly area. They're bigger, meatier, and have more fat running through them, which means more flavor, but longer cooking times. They're usually cheaper per pound, and honestly, they're my personal favorite for backyard barbecue. Here's what to look for regardless of which type you choose. The meat should look fresh and pink, not gray or slimy. You want even thickness across the rack. Avoid ribs where one side is thick and the other side is paper thin. Look for good marbling throughout the meat and make sure there's actually meat on the bones. I've seen some sorry excuses for ribs that were basically just bone with a thin layer of meat on them. And one more thing, if you can bed the rack and it feels flexible, that's good. If it's stiff as a board, those ribs have been sitting around too long. Most people season the ribs and just throw them on the grill. That's a big mistake. That costs you flavor and tenderness. First, we're removing that membrane from the bone side. It's that thin, silvery layer that's tough as leather. It blocks seasoning from penetrating the meat. And here's the easy way to remove it. Slip a butter knife under one corner of the membrane, grab it with a paper towel, and then just peel it off in one piece. It takes maybe 30 seconds and it makes a huge difference. Next, we're trimming excess fat. We want some fat for flavor and moisture, but thick chunks just turn into greasy, chewy bits that nobody wants to eat. Now, for seasoning, this is where most people either go overboard or don't go far enough. Start with a thin layer of yellow mustard as a binder. Don't worry, you're not going to taste it, but it helps the seasoning stick and creates a better bark. Then comes your rogue, salt, black pepper, brown sugar, paprika, garlic powder, and onion powder. Add a touch of cayenne or chili powder for heat. Season both sides generously, but don't cake it on. The goal is even coverage, not a crust of seasoning that falls off when you cut into the ribs. Let them sit at room temperature for about 30 minutes while you get your smoker ready. This brings the meat up to room temperature so it cooks more evenly. Temperature control separates the pros from the amateurs. We're cooking at 250 degrees, and I mean 250 degrees, not 275, not 300, not somewhere around there. Those though isn't just barbecue talk, it's the science of breaking down tough connective tissue, which leads to tender ribs. If you're using a charcoal grill, set up a 2-zone fire. The ribs cook on the indirect side, away from the heat source. Gas grill users, same principle. Fire up one side, cook on the other. For your smoker setup, I'm using a mix of hickory and apple wood. Hickory provides that classic barbecue flavor. Apple adds a subtle sweetness and helps with color. Avoid overdoing the wood. Too much smoke turns bitter. Keep a water pan in there for humidity. Have a spray bottle ready with apple juice or beef broth. We'll use this to keep the surface from drying out during that long cook. And one more important part, invest in a good thermometer. Those built-in grill thermometers are usually off by like 25 to 50 degrees. Can't cook good barbecue with bad temperature information. Now we get to the heart of how to cook barbecue ribs. They'll have your family planning the next cookout. Phase 1 for baby back ribs, we'll put the ribs on the smoker for 2 hours. And if you're using spare ribs, then we will put the ribs on the smoker for 3 hours. Both use the same temperature of 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The ribs go directly on the grate, bone side down. This is where we build that beautiful mahogany color and develop that bark. You know, that slightly crispy, flavorful outside layer that makes great barbecue. I spritz it every hour with an apple juice mixture to keep the surface from getting too dry. Just make sure that your bark has set before spritzing. During this freeze, you'll see meat start to pull back from the bones, and that's exactly what we want. Now, phase 2, that's 2 hours wrapped in foil. This is the phase that guarantees tenderness. I wrap each rack in heavy-duty aluminum foil. I'll add a pat of butter, a sprinkle of brown sugar, and a splash of apple juice. Or maybe even a drizzle of honey. This creates a steaming effect that breaks down all the tough stuff and makes the meat tender enough to cut with a fork. Now, phase 3 is 1 hour back out of the smoker, unwrapped. This lets us firm up the bark again and apply sauce if you're using it. I brush on sauce during the last 20 minutes, so it caramelizes, but it doesn't burn. Now, the plus part, that's the flexibility depending on your ribs and your equipment. You might need to adjust the timing. The real test is the bend test. Pick up the rack with tongs right in the middle, and if the ends bend down about 90 degrees, you're close to done. For the oven, use the same timing, but bump up the temperature to 275 degrees Fahrenheit. So for the first phase, baby back ribs will be in the oven for 2 hours, and spare ribs will be in the oven for 3 hours. When it comes to the second phase, red the ribs once they have reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And for phase 3, unred the ribs and place them in the oven for about 30 minutes. Sauce them and then finish them in the broiler for about 2 minutes. This is going to caramelize the sauce. I have a whole video about how to make ribs in the oven that goes in more depth, and I'll leave a link to that video right in the comments. Here's where patience pays off. One more time. When your ribs come off the heat, resist the urge to cut into them. Let them rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, loosely tented with some foil. During this resting period, the juices redistribute throughout the meat instead of running all over your cutting board when you slice into them. Now for slicing, flip the ribs bone side up. You can see the bones clearly this way. And this is going to make it easier to cut in between them. Use a sharp knife and don't saw back and forth. We want clean, confident cuts. Some people like the rib sauce. Others prefer them dry with sauce on the side, and both are correct. If you're saucing, do it right before serving so the sauce doesn't make the bark soggy. Want to take it up another notch? Try a different wood combination. Cherry and pecan give a milder flavor. Oak is more intense. Mesquite is strong and works great. Beauty of mastering this process is that once you understand the principles, you can experiment with different rubs, different sauces, and different cooking methods while still getting consistent results. And let me save you from mistakes that cost me several disappointing racks of ribs. Mistake number 1, cooking too hot because you're in a hurry. I get it. You're hungry. Your guests are waiting and they're hungry, and that low temperature feels like it's taking forever. But rushing ruins ribs every time. So plan ahead and start early. Mistake number 2, skipping the wrapping phase because you want to keep the bark crispy. Trust me on this, you can firm that bark back up in phase 3, but you can't fix tough dry ribs. And then mistake number 3, not having a backup plan. Weather changes, equipment fails, life happens. Know how to finish your ribs in the oven if you need to. Mistake number 4, over saucing. Sauce should complement the meat, not mask it. If you need tons of sauce to make your ribs taste good, something went completely wrong early in the process. Mistake number 5, not keeping notes. Every grill is different. Every rack of ribs is different, and even the weather can affect your cook. Keep track of what works so you can repeat your successes. And the good news, even mediocre ribs are still pretty good, and every cookout teaches you something. So now you know how to barbecue ribs. Type of ribs that will have your family asking when you're cooking them next before they even finish their first serving. But here's something I didn't mention at the beginning of this video. Everything I just showed you about smoking ribs is great, but what happens when it's raining or snowing? Or your smoker breaks down right before the family reunion, or maybe you don't even have a smoker. That's why I created this video right here, where I show you how to make these exact same fall off the bone rib using nothing but your oven. Click right here, check it out now, and I'll see you there.